Hello, welcome to my channel. It's good to have you here. My name's Gemma, criminologist, right? Mum, right? Consequentist. So, this one, I'm gonna just briefly explain to you guys about a court, how to go about retrieving, okay, minors, okay, in care or in custody or anything like that, right? What you got to do is, if someone filed against you, you need to file against them straight away, okay? So don't leave it, right? If it don't matter who it is, what's going on, even if you haven't got good representation, because I'm telling you now, there's no representation for people because there's a policy that's been made. So when a policy's been made to like have a certain amount of children put into, a specific arena, like a care home or something, there'll be a tariff, it'll go up, okay? And it's not a natural coherence because there's no support. So we can see the functionality, okay, quickly, in how there's lack of services. Okay, so this is how you. This is just my opinion. Somebody files against you, file against them straight away. You need a C100 form. Okay, this is England. You need a C100 form. Okay, you might need a C1A, depending on the circumstances. Right, but if you need to do a recovery order, I think that's a C8 form. A C4 is to know whereabouts of your children, and a C1A is like, it's about like whatever you need to say. C1A is probably the best one. But if you want a C100, just a bit of recovery order is obviously the C8. You need a C1A. So this C100 is usually the first one that gets passed through. Okay, this is usually the one that they do. And so you need to do a C100 or a C1A back to counteract them. Okay, so the thing is, I'm going to get into this now, why you have to fill these forms out. It's because when you go into a courtroom, okay, they don't actually acknowledge anything you said unless you have forms, okay? You have to have forms to say why you disagree, for them to even hear you. This is my experience. Now, I don't know if this is right, okay, because I've studied this. I studied a bit and read sort of textbook, okay, if you like, how this works. And usually what they do is, if someone files, they'll file, and then you just sit there and listen. If someone's made a case against you, you will listen to them, but then you give yours back. And it's sort of like, that's what happens in magistrates. But it's not the same in childcare, okay? So it's very exciting for them to see a new person come through and not have a clue, isn't it? Right? So to try and destabilise this, what you need to do is straight away either a C100 form or a C1A form. Go to the library, okay? Go to a library, go in there, go on the government website, and then this is how you can fight your case against them, even if you haven't got a solicitor or haven't got representation. Because let me tell you now, the representation is absolutely abysmal, right? It's literally however they want it to go. So how do you want it to go? Okay, so this might be why you ended up representing yourself. So you've got to really think about how you can approach this. But what you really need to do is get the forms. Okay, make sure that form's in. Okay, write a statement or something. Thing is though, is that sometimes we can be ignored, and unfortunately, depending on what policies are going on at a time, it kind of just is. That's why. Okay, so it might as well be because someone's got it in for you. So I'm just speculating, but I'm just saying there could be many reasons why you're fighting with somebody in a courtroom. But this is for child law, sorry. So it's different, okay? You don't get to pose your position. They sort of just kind of just go with whatever's been said on that paper. So you have to argue against it, okay? So every time you go into a courtroom, you have to pose against them with an application. Okay. So when somebody's applied against you in a courtroom for child law, you have to combat them with an application. This is how I know now, just through understanding circumstances, how to go about this. Okay, so you need to apply. You need to do it, and because you'll be sat in that courtroom waiting for them to be able to give an answer. Because I'm going to be like in the middle. You're going to listen to that person, and then take the answer. But it's not really what's going on in there. Like, I've noticed that you have to apply. They're telling me I have to apply to go against. So I don't really know what's going on with the judges. But they seem to insist this. That's all I'm going to say about them for now. So the thing is as well, is that usually when this stuff happens, you're either a targeted individual, they want something that you've got, you're a threat to them some way, some form, you might be intimidating as well, and there might be something that's going on that, especially if it's like corruption or something like that, you never know. Corporate crime, a bit of white collar crime in there, stuck a little bit of everything, you don't even know what's going on. They don't even tell you either, right? So you've got, another thing is that when people go against you when you're in a courtroom, for example, if you had a counsel and they went against you in a courtroom, well, you're screwed. You don't have the same kind of power or that the council would have. Okay, they've done a mass destruction on your life. So, for example, if they've took your kids, they're holding the power, aren't they? So usually what happens is that they've already gone against you. Okay, so this is important. Okay, if you've had a removal of children or something like this or something, they're already against you. Okay, so usually you have to be careful with stuff like this because they can try and trick you as well into like making you think that they're trying to support you and then go against you completely at the end. So you have to be really careful about these parties when you're in a courtroom, okay? Because no one's your friend in there, okay? So this is another thing. Nobody is your friend when you walk in that room, okay? And it's very sad because, some people even laugh about it. Some people giggle about it. Yeah, you get people, you do it all the time. They've got kids as well and they'll just sit there and laugh about it because they ain't got a conscience. Because they're choosing a policy, right, over a human right. Okay? So this is obviously where, like, they can try and come in and say that, they don't want any... They can try and come in and say that they don't want you to have them for blah, blah reason. But the reality is that a lot of times when this stuff happens is because you're just a targeted individual, okay? Especially if you haven't done anything wrong. Especially if you're, well-to-do or whatever, right? They're going to do it because, you might be somebody that they're known to you by Joe Blogs or, somebody else might have an interest in you, okay? Might be handled or something, right? This is obviously really far out there, but I'm coming back in again for you guys. That, anything can be the reasons, can be for anything, right? And you have to be careful about who you trust when you go in there. So when you do assessments as well, if they're trying to get you to do assessments, they're just complying against you. Okay? So just know that. Do your forms. Okay? The policies have changed as well on the EPOs. That happened November 29th last year. So it was quicker for them to put the children through the process of emergency protection orders and then push them into interim care orders. So they made it easier for them to basically transfer an EPO to an ICO, which is an emergency protection order to an interim care order. So this is why as well, because they made it easier for the children to go into care. Okay, let me just make that clear. They made it easier, changing the EPO law jurisdiction on the 29th of November to make it easier for the children to be placed into care. Okay? Another thing is, as well, is that they use time constraints. Okay? So when we understand aspects of justice, we all know it's about justice. Okay? If you didn't apply for it and the post, the issue with the post. So there was issues with the post. So obviously you apply for stuff, I give you the information, it went through, but nobody was listening, right? It's too late, is it? Oh, is it a time constraint on justice, is there? Right? So remember this, okay? There's a time constraint. You don't fill it in by that deadline, fill it in anyway and go ahead. But, this is another thing, okay? So they try and use time constraints to pressure you, okay, to do in whatever's next, right? But then you obviously got the emotional turmoil of the children being in care or being taken out of your care and you don't even know where they are. So not only do you have to especially because there's not much help desks, you haven't got any help desks in there either, so they're not going to tell you how to do it either, right? You just get bogus emails back, right? There's no portal for us to access, so we can't see what's going. They limit the how long you can see certain types of evidence. You have to be careful, right? So this is what's coming down in the court in childcare, right? So you have to be careful about who you trust in, okay? Because sometimes you might be able to retrieve children out of care, right? Depending on the circumstances. So I would stick with it. I would go along with but I'm obviously just one person. I'm just saying it because it's my intuition kicking in. I don't know why somebody might have needed to hear that. But you don't stop. You just carry on. You don't stop. And there's a lot of people making up stories. Okay, they're lying. Right? People are lying. So what they do as well is that they might be careful of the court notes and the orders because they might be able to switch and change certain things. So if a judge, for example, has allowed them to sort of edit something that they shouldn't because it goes under freedom of information, it's actually illegal to tamper with evidence. But if they're allowed, if somebody's allowed that, you need to be careful. You need to be reading your orders, right? Because this is where illegalities can come into this, okay? But it's whether they're going to be tried or not in a different way, okay? Because this obviously would be a different issue if you want to start trying to find out what trying to go against the orders and stuff, because that's going against the judges themselves, I guess. So you have to be careful because, not careful, but some of them get told certain types of information and it's not enough, and it's good to hear it from the other person, but if they've already made decisions and stuff, then we ain't got a chance. And this is why they want this to happen as well, okay? Because the thing is that there's a policy to put the children in care in the first place up there, okay? So this is why this has taken place. Fundamentally, you have to really realise that there was either a tariff put in or something to remove public sectors and engage punitive approaches and far-right policies of removing children, okay, at night times, and they shouldn't even be doing that, okay? This, especially when it's when it's based on lies, okay, from a council or from corporations. This is forms of corporate crime, and if it's a corporate crime, okay, so this is a corporate crime. So what else can I say about this? So just to clarify, it's not time to have kids. I got Mercury in the 5th house. It's in Aquarius, but it's in my 5th house. So it's my 5th house, so I'm a Leo as well. My fire. So I'm basically going to say what I want, okay, to a degree, to where I'm allowed. But this one is really about helping people who have children in care proceedings or care court cases, okay? So that's what this one's about, okay? So I just wanted to let you know, people know like what you have to do if you've had a kid in care or you've had a kid removed or something that's happened to these children. It's because you need to go file against them straight away. Just go file against them. If somebody's filed against you, which is namely a corporate. Thing is though, with corporates, is I'm going to say this, is that I don't think it's fair, because corporates get away with a lot more stuff than what one individual could get away with. So I just want to leave you with this thought that if a corporate has taken or removed, so this is under council, they are now posing as an authoritative figure in, you know, your life, their lives, your children's lives. So usually what happens is when the person who's compiling against has done the removals, what you'll find is there'll be a lot of corruption in the papers, because they are trying to sway a narrative, because they don't want to be in trouble for what they've done originally. And that's the reality. That's why. And the reason why a lot of judges let them get away with it is because they're going to get in trouble too. Now let's get into the policy itself. If there's a policy allowing it to take place, when it's going to happen in it, no one's going to get in trouble. No one's going to get in trouble for it. So, this is a far right policy, if there is one. So let's just rethink our strategies. Because people are upset because of immigration and racism. Tony Robinson says it himself. It's not about immigration. It's not about race. It's about the kids. Been told, haven't there? Lots of them. 1 out of 54 in Liverpool been put in care. What about Leeds? It's been happening there, because there was that boy, he got took, I think he was Romanian, he got took by a copper, put in the back of a van. Shouldn't have done it like that. It's an Eve baby. Was he 9? 8, if that? I'll keep my boy. Spiritually, emotionally. Everyone's at that stage. Everyone's dead. You know, when people go to the lengths of like hurting children, lying about them, wanting to be around their parents, or, you know, things like this, it's very cruel, okay? So you're not good people for doing this, okay? So I'm going to make it very clear to you that you are very bad people for doing this, what you're doing, okay, to children. You're destroying an evolution of a next generation. You're destroying it to be rebuilt once again. Is that how it goes? Is it? No, it's not. Okay? Rethink your strategies about what you're doing to these kids, because you're going to jump back through again. Peace.